Mount Everest, the roof of the world, was once the bottom of the sea. And if you climb to the highest snow-capped peaks on Earth, you might stumble upon fish bones and coral, shocking but entirely true. Imagine an ancient civilization with supernatural intelligence, science ahead of its time, and absolute peace. No war, no disease. Once existed on a legendary island at the center of a forgotten ocean, now the barren Taklamakan Desert. No one knows why they vanished. Was it a great flood or some mysterious force? But legend has it, they did not die. They withdrew into the earth. Thousands of years ago, cultures around the world, from the Navajo Egyptians and Mayans to Tibetan monks, all spoke of the same thing: underground cities, homes of the godlike beings, possessing knowledge and powers far beyond those on the surface. Subterranean tunnels that spanned continents and oceans, stretching for thousands of miles, connecting lands and concealing an entire empire. Agartha, the hidden kingdom said to still exist today. Is this merely fanciful myth, or a secret kept from humanity for millennia? Why do France, Mongolia, India, and Tibet all record eerily identical tales? 19th century mystics, scientists fleeing war, and enigmatic Himalayan monks all spoke of the same thing. And like a locked gate between two worlds, to understand what Agartha truly is, we must begin with a fateful meeting in Paris in 1885 between a Western philosopher and a man claiming to be the prince of an underground kingdom. Part 1. The legendary island and its disappearance. Long ago, even before the Hindu gods were named in scripture, there was a legend from the land we now call India. It spoke of a massive verdant island north of the Himalayas, where today only the arid Gobi and Taklamakan deserts remain. This island wasn't offshore or near any known sea, but stood at the center of an ancient ocean, the Tethys Sea. It was not inhabited by ordinary humans, but by a divine race, tall, intellectually extraordinary beings with powers modern humanity can only imagine through myth. They lived in isolation, never interfering with the outer world, except through vast tunnels, subterranean arteries connecting them with early human civilizations. Each tunnel coiled through the earth like an endless serpent, but no paradise lasts forever. No one knows exactly what happened. Some say it was a great flood, nature's fury beyond all imagining. Others believe an army from another realm crossed the ocean to steal the light the island held. Regardless of the cause, the island's godlike inhabitants foresaw the catastrophe, and with silent wisdom, they chose not to fight. They withdrew, not by boat, not by wing, but through the very tunnels their ancestors had built, moving their entire civilization deep underground. The Earth's crust sealed shut, and all that remained on the surface were entrances, now buried by time, collapsed under stone, erased by wind and sand. The island no longer existed in our world, but its people continued living, not above but below in a world called Agartha. Over time, the gateways that once linked the island to the human world were forgotten. Some were etched into stone at Ellora Elephanta and Ajanta, mysterious caves in India whose deeper histories few suspect. Others are said to lie hidden in Afghanistan's treacherous valleys, where the Hindu Kush stretches like a wall of the ancient world. Locals tell of bottomless crevices where the wind whispers like voices. Wandering Tibetan monks believe these gates reveal themselves only when the heart is pure enough. But mostly they have become whispers and legends dismissed as fantasy. On modern maps, no island ever existed north of the Himalayas. Only desolate desert remains. Few know today that the Himalayas, the roof of the world, were once submerged. Along the slopes of Everest K2 and Kanchenjunga, traces of coral fish bones and deep-sea fossils have been found. They testify to an unbelievable truth before these mountains rose. This region lay at the bottom of the Tethys Sea, when the Indian subcontinent collided with Asia in a massive tectonic shift. The seabed rose to form towering peaks. If the island truly existed, was it crushed beneath millions of tons of rock? Or did that same movement create a hollow within the earth, the space where Agartha was built. Geological layers lie stacked like pages, but no one has turned to the oldest chapter yet. Agartha was not born in light, but forged from a life or death choice to hide. No longer a radiant island in the ocean, it became a vast, subterranean network of cities where the sun never shines, but intellect still gleams. Its inhabitants did not collapse in despair. They rebuilt their world beneath the surface. They erected colossal stone libraries, crafted structures beyond human understanding. They did not merely survive, they evolved apart from the history we know. And when humanity forgot their legend, Agartha grew ever more mysterious. Not a fairy tale, but a missing chapter torn from the book of time. Yet this civilization was never fully separate. They continued to observe and preserve everything. Part 2. The structure of Agartha and the keepers of knowledge. As the legends of Agartha emerged through ancient accounts and oral traditions, it became clear that Agartha was not merely an underground city. It was an entire civilization connected by a subterranean network spanning across continents. The entrances buried in India, such as the Ellora Elephanta and Ajanta caves, were just the tip of the iceberg. Legends also mention tunnels deep within the Hindu Kush mountains in Afghanistan and others that lead to Egypt, China, and even the Americas. These tunnels are said to be vast, large enough to contain entire trains, and built with structures designed to endure for millennia. The Agarthans did not build to be found. They built to hide while maintaining the ability to observe the surface world. Perhaps that's why, for centuries, Himalayan wanderers have spoken of lights in the stone or heard echoes not born of wind. According to Agarthan lore, there are three beings considered the spiritual pillars of the inner world: Brahma, Mahatma, and Mahanga. They are not kings in the human sense, but semi-divine entities who guide Agartha not through force, but through spiritual energy and supreme wisdom. Brahma embodies absolute knowledge, a one who knows, all overseeing wisdom from all ages. Mahatma is the keeper of destiny, able to perceive the future as clearly as we recall memories. Mahanga does not predict or preserve, but initiates events, controls causes, the force of change. This trinity forms Agartha's spiritual axis, representing knowledge, direction, and action. They not only govern their own world, but monitor the surface through spiritual channels. Some legends say that whenever major events occur above, like wars or disasters, these three convene in a grand quartz hall. Unlike any known civilization, Agartha stores its knowledge not on paper, but in stone columns. Within the underground kingdom, thousands of towering quartz pillars are inscribed with a mysterious ancient script known as Vatanian, a language believed to have existed since 51,900 BCE. Vatanian is not a spoken tongue, but regarded as a primal cosmic language, an Adamic language capable of encoding sound symbols and pure concepts. Only those initiated and trained can comprehend it. Vatanian is preserved and taught in Agartha's esoteric schools, but is strictly forbidden from being revealed to outsiders. The stone libraries were not meant to be read by eye, but touched by hand, transferring knowledge directly into the mind. In Agartha, knowledge is not lost with time. It is etched into eternity. A detail that astonishes modern researchers is the description of Agarthan technology not as mysticism, but eerily accurate technological foresight. Alexandre Saint-Yves once wrote that this underground realm used light conduits made of flexible glass, consuming no carbon fuel and causing no harm to the earth. This description is considered an early depiction of fiber optics, a technology that appeared more than a century later. Agarthan corridors were illuminated by eternal luminescent structures, without electricity, combustion, or decay. Their underground transport reportedly used magnetic waves and mental energy to move, operating in silence without engines, pollution, or industrial materials like steel. These accounts are not merely fantastical. They were recorded by those who claimed direct learning from Agarthans, such as Haji Sharif. They did not invent, they preserved, a technology that needed no further development for it had already reached its peak. Part 3. Those who brought Agartha to the West. In 1885, at the heart of Western knowledge, Paris, Alexandre Saint-Yves d'Alvedre met a mysterious teacher, Prince Haji Sharif. This man, a scholar from the East fluent in Sanskrit, carried an extraordinary secret. He was from the great Agarthian school. During their sessions beyond ancient language studies, Haji spoke of an underground kingdom, Agartha, where ancient knowledge was preserved, governed by a triadic leadership system, and encoded in a language called Vatanian. Saint-Yves was captivated. After years of notes, he compiled The Mission of India, the first comprehensive account of Agartha's geography, governance, technology, and spiritual ideals. But on the day it was to be published, he suddenly withdrew all copies and ordered them destroyed. Only one survived. Why? Some say he was threatened by Agartha's protectors. Others believe Hajiji himself warned humanity was not ready. In 1922, amid the chaos following the Russian Revolution, a Polish scientist, Ferdynand Ossendowski, fled into Mongolia's wilderness. On this arduous journey, he witnessed a strange phenomenon, moments where all life froze. Humans, animals, even the wind, as if the world held its breath. When he asked a Mongolian herdsman, he received a chilling reply. That is when the king of the world is praying. This king, they said, resided underground in a palace in Agarthi. He could speak with God as I now speak to you. At his side were two aides, Mahitma, who foresaw the future, and Mahinga, who shaped it. The tale was vivid, eerily, mirroring Saint-Yves's writings. Yet Ossendowski had never read them. When his book was published, people were baffled. Two men, different times, different continents, describing the same hidden kingdom and the same three rulers. René Guénon, a respected French philosopher and Eastern studies scholar, was stunned by this coincidence. He met with Ossendowski and confirmed the Pole had never known of Saint-Yves ruling out plagiarism. But Guénon didn't stop there. He consulted Tibetan monks, Indian scholars, and examined ancient texts. After 2 years, he published The King of the World, asserting that the Agartha legend was not confined to Mongolia, but spread across Central Asia. More importantly, he claimed vast cave systems spanned hundreds of kilometers, leading to a spiritual and intellectual center for humanity. With his rigorous scholarship, Guénon stopped calling Agartha a myth. He analyzed its possible existence both symbolically and geographically, comparing it especially with Vajrayana traditions where every symbol bears both an inner and outer meaning. Agartha was not just a dream, it was a map yet to be deciphered. Saint-Yves and Ossendowski were not alone. Decades earlier, in 1873, Louis Jacolliot, a French judge living in India, wrote of a city called Agartha, ruled underground by Brahmatra priests. 2 years later, he expanded his description. This was a kingdom no one could invade, existing in secret for tens of thousands of years, holding humanity's ancient wisdom. Around the same time, philosopher Ernest Renan spoke of Asgard, the Norse mythical paradise being located in Central Asia. Though not directly named Agartha, the phonetic similarity and geographic proximity strengthened the hypothesis. And finally, Haji Sharif, the one who taught Saint-Yves, had already written about the Agarthian school before they met. This confirms Agartha wasn't a French invention. The name already existed, deep within the East, locked in language and legend. Part 4, Shambhala, the Buddhist version of Agartha. For thousands of years at the northernmost edge of Tibet, people have believed in a hidden kingdom called Shambhala, the land of peace. According to the ancient scripture Vishnu Purana, it is where Kalki, the 10th and final incarnation of the god Vishnu, will be born to end the dark era of Kali Yuga and usher in a new cycle of light. But Shambhala cannot be found on a map, and those who seek it often get lost in the snowbound mountains of the Himalayas. Unlike distant heavens, Shambhala is always affirmed to be real, just, inaccessible to those not yet spiritually ready. A kingdom nestled in a deep valley surrounded by mountains, glowing without sunlight, where people live long lives free of aging and illness, and where wisdom is a condition for existence. Vajrayana teachings, Tibetan esoteric Buddhism, not only mention it, but also offer guidance on how to approach Shambhala through an awakened consciousness. The Kalachakra Tantra, the Wheel of Time, is a key text in Tibetan Buddhism and the most detailed source on Shambhala. But what stunned researchers was the discovery that Shambhala did not originate in Buddhism at all, but in an even older culture, Zhangjung. This now extinct civilization left behind ruins and legends that were absorbed by Bon, Tibet's indigenous religion. In ancient Bon texts, Shambhala appears as Tagzig Olmo Lungring, a sacred pure land where immortal beings guard the wisdom of the universe. This proves the concept of a hidden underground kingdom was deeply rooted in Eastern spirituality long before Buddhist monasteries emerged. One striking similarity, both Agartha and Shambhala only reveal their existence when humanity attains a certain spiritual purity, as if they are twin gateways to a realm beyond physical dimensions. In the mid-19th century, a woman named Helena Blavatsky embarked on a mysterious journey from the West to Asia. She spent 2 years in Tibet, studying with lamas and recording teachings that would never appear in textbooks. Among them was a legend of a lost island once located north of the Himalayas, the birthplace of a mystical civilization. She did not call it Agartha, but described a land submerged by cataclysm, whose survivors built Shambhala, a perfect spiritual replica. Later in Fujian, China, she found ancient texts preserved by Taoist masters, including references to Masters of Light Sons of the Sun and a radiant island, with allusions to a sunken wisdom tradition that had not vanished. Though controversial, her writings bridge Shambhala Agartha and a forgotten island from before recorded history. From 1925 to 1929, Russian archaeologist and painter Nicholas Roerich undertook a 15,000-mile expedition over 5 years across Altai, Tibet and Mongolia, his sole aim to find Shambhala. In his journals, he recorded repeated warnings from locals Shambhala cannot be found. It reveals itself only to the worthy, but Roerich persisted. Finally, in the Uimon Valley of the Altai region, an elderly sage led him to an abandoned monastery. There he discovered an ancient tunnel sealed with masterfully cut stone. Unlike any known modern construction, the old man pointed to it and said, "When the world is ready, the gate will open." Roerich could go no further, but he returned with something else, paintings, notes, and an unwavering belief that Shambhala was no myth. It was a reality hidden by humanity's own choices. Part 5. Other underground kingdoms. Patala and XIBALBA. In Hindu, Jain, and early Buddhist traditions, there exists an underworld realm called Patala, a land beneath the feet of humankind. But unlike concepts of hell, Patala is a radiant paradise. Golden ground crystal lakes, fragrant flower forests and echoing music. It is inhabited by a mysterious race, the Nagas, beings that are half human, half serpent. Not demons, but divine entities of water wisdom and protection. They guard not only material treasures, but also profound knowledge. In the Mahabharata epic, heroes descend into Patala via a tunnel, reaching the earth's core to meet the Nagas and learn magic. Numerous caves in South India are revered as Patala gateways, guarded by stone serpent statues, often honored with flowers and offerings. Belief in Patala endures today in rituals like Naga Panchami, where people draw serpent symbols at their doorsteps to invoke blessings and honor the beings of the deep. The Naga mythos expanded across Southeast Asia into Cambodia, Laos, Indonesia, the Philippines, and especially Thailand. Their Nagas are protectors of the Mekong River, breathing fire during festivals and inspiring royal art and architecture. Further east, their image transformed, becoming the dragon. Chinese dragons differ from European ones, wingless, serpentine-wise, and benevolent. They live underground in crystal palaces beneath the sea and teach emperors. Notably, there are 2 types, earth dragons and hidden treasure dragons, both subterranean, guarding secret wealth. Could Nagas and dragons be 2 sides of the same ancient species? A symbolic divergence shaped by culture, yet rooted in the same belief: beneath the earth exists a race more intelligent, more ancient, and richer than humanity. They do not appear at random, only when mankind must learn something or is about to make a grave mistake. In ancient Mayan mythology, XIBALBA is the realm where the sun travels each night. Not hell, but a parallel world with its own gods, cities, and courtly hierarchy. In the sacred book, Popol twin heroes enter XIBALBA through a real cave to challenge the underworld gods and restore light. Fascinatingly, the geographic details in these tales match current archaeological sites. In Guatemala, scientists have discovered a 500-mile network of tunnels beneath the Tikal pyramid complex. These tunnels do not lead to tombs or altars. Their purpose remains unclear. Yet the Mayan descriptions align with the entrances to XIBALBA, not just in text but in rituals too. The Maya believe that cenotes, natural sinkholes, are mouths of the underworld pathways for divine travel through water. In Mexico, beneath the ancient city of Teotihuacan, famed for the pyramids of the sun and moon, archaeologists using ground-penetrating radar detected a tunnel over 10 meters wide beneath the main temple. Strangely, no entrance has been found. The structure appears entirely sealed, as if intentionally locked from the start. In Peru and Bolivia, civilizations like the Inca and Tiwanaku told of sacred caves leading to a city of light where gods withdrew after the Dark Age. One legend says thousands of Inca vanished without trace, not killed or captured, but simply returned to the earth through sacred tunnels. Many caves remain unexplored due partly to treacherous terrain and partly to prohibitions tied to native beliefs. Modern researchers still have no definitive answers. What is clear is that underworld legends are not just present, they're built in stone. Part 6. Mysterious global tunnels. In the American Southwest, indigenous tribes such as the Navajo, Hopi Apache Zuni, and Pawnee all share a strange common detail in their origin myths. Their ancestors did not appear on the surface but emerged from the earth. The Hopi say they lived in a third world beneath the ground before being brought to the surface by beings of light. The Navajo speak of a gate between worlds where ancestral spirits still watch and guide. The Zuni recount that all people originally lived in deep caves and were only permitted to surface after learning to share the light. These stories are not mere allegories. There are slot canyons and sandstone caves in Arizona considered sacred by indigenous people, forbidden to enter because they are believed to be gateways to the old world. Some sites are still guarded today with no trails or visitors. Testimonies from across the continent echo the same truth: the surface was not humanity's starting point. In the 5th century BCE, the Greek historian Herodotus traveled to Egypt and recorded something extraordinary. He wrote, "I saw 12 palaces connected by underground corridors, each surrounded by white stone columns. Nearby stood a 240-foot pyramid, with a tunnel beneath leading to the subterranean labyrinth of the gods." His descriptions do not match any exposed pyramids, but suggest a city of the gods hidden underground, luxurious chambers that remain unexcavated. 5 centuries later, the historian Strabo repeated this claim. Today, there is no official archaeological confirmation of such a structure. However, since 1978, seismic studies have revealed Giza Harbour's underground, rivers, natural caverns, and a buried corridor network beneath its limestone base. Some entrances have been sealed or destroyed by ancient earthquakes. Locals call the place by an ancient name, Rostau, the mouth of the passages. The Great Sphinx stands guard over the Giza Plateau, like an ancient sentinel in the desert. But what baffles archaeologists isn't its shape, but what lies beneath. Records from the 19th and 20th centuries mention a door discovered at the base of the statue sealed with a granite block. Some researchers claim that beneath the Sphinx is a hidden chamber, storing ancient inscriptions from a pre-pyramid civilization. Rumors persist that this may be the Hall of Records, a library of Atlantis or even earlier knowledge. Recent geophysical surveys show anomalies in the soil, a hollow space running from the Sphinx's belly to the Pyramid of Khafra, but modern authorities restrict excavation in the area. One entrance has been sealed, the rest remains theory. Yet mystics believe that when the time is right, the doors will open and ancient knowledge will return to the world. In India, within the basaltic terrain of Maharashtra, the Ellora cave complex rises as a forgotten wonder. Carved directly into solid rock, it features dozens of sanctuaries, temples, and giant columns, not built upward, but carved downward as if ancient hands sculpted stone like wood. Local legend holds that Ellora is a sacred gate leading to the domain of the rishis, sages, who withdrew after the world entered its dark age. Some corridors in Ellora seem endless, unmarked and unnamed. On Elephanta, a rocky island near Mumbai, temples carved into mountains depict battles between gods and demons beneath the earth. Some passageways have collapsed or filled with rubble over time, yet tales persist of tunnels leading deeper, to the world of the immortals. Locals sometimes say that on a full moon night, if you listen carefully, you can hear chanting not from above, but from below your feet. From Central Asia to Egypt, from India to Mesoamerica, from North America to Southeast Asia, legends of tunnels connecting the inner earth abound. They do not just live in folklore, but are supported by physical structures, caves, tombs, sealed passages, and anomalies in the terrain. Some caves are millions of years old. Some tunnels stretch hundreds of miles built with techniques no one can explain. If only one civilization spoke of them, it might be fantasy. But dozens, even hundreds of cultures across unconnected epochs and continents all tell of a world beneath our feet. A world inhabited by beings greater than man, bearers of light, wisdom, and judgment. Are these fragments of an ancient collective memory, or remnants of something real? A true Agartha that lies beyond the maps? If so, then perhaps these tunnels do more than connect lands. They connect past, present, and the shared destiny of humanity. Part 7. Spiritual Values and Esoteric Mysticism, hidden within Agartha. St. Eve once described the most peculiar trait of Agartha's inhabitants: they had two tongues. Not in the sense of deceit, but in their ability to speak two languages simultaneously. One in Vatanian, the sacred language encoding spiritual knowledge, and the other in human speech. But from a symbolic perspective, split tongues evoke an even older image: serpents. The Nagas of Patala had forked tongues. So did Eastern dragons, subterranean beings of wisdom. They were not simply evolved humans, but perhaps a different branch of consciousness, one that diverged from human evolution at its very origin. That may be why in many esoteric rituals, serpent symbols guard cave entrances, a warning that only those who conquer ego may pass deeper. Two tongues, two languages, two worlds. These beings, Agarthans, are hidden not only in geography, but in the layers of consciousness. They know us, but we do not know them. After Haji Sharif St. Eve mentioned another figure, Rishi Bhagwandas Raji Shreen, whom he called a true Brahmin and a high-ranking member of the great Agarthian school. In private notes, he described a manuscript called The Brahmin's Secret, directly entrusted to me. This text compared Vatanian with ancient Hebrew and Sanskrit and included encoded symbolic diagrams. Yet something strange happened after a period of teaching. This mysterious master vanished without a trace. Later entries suggest St. Eve felt cut off from the source, as if he had failed a test. Scholar Jean Rail believed St. Eve was chosen to receive Eastern wisdom, but was later judged unworthy. Just like Mahatma Kuthumi once rejected Cynic for misunderstanding, the message St. Eve too was barred from the deepest layers of Agarthan mysticism. A channel of knowledge was blocked, leaving behind fragments no one has since decoded. Despite his fascination with Agartha, St. Eve remained a product of the West, where thought is bound by duality, right and wrong, good and evil, God and man. In Mission of India, he wrote, "Agartha will appear when mankind lives in accordance with the laws of Moses and God." In his final work, The Archaeometer, he suggested India should be converted to Christian and Roman Catholic order. Such statements revealed what the East had long feared: the West does not seek to understand, but to convert. They do not approach Agartha with bare feet and an open heart, but with laws, creeds, and a dream of civilization. Agartha knowledge cannot be owned or packaged. It is an ocean. To drink from it, one must throw away the cup. Thus, Eastern esoteric schools, though they once opened the door, eventually withdrew. The gate closed, not from hatred, but from disappointment. Agartha did not disappear. It merely withdrew into silence. Legend says that when humanity matures, not in technology but in spirit, the gate will open. There the three still wait: Brahma, keeper of all human history; Mahatma, seer of the future and its cycles; and Mahanga, wielder of change, or its allowance. The tunnels still exist, beneath deserts, high peaks and jungles, hidden not by walls, but by minds not yet ready. Clues, signs and symbols remain scattered, enough for anyone who truly seeks, but each must walk alone. Agartha is not a reward, but a mirror. It reflects the true nature of the seeker. If one seeks power, they will find only desert. But if one seeks with a sincere heart, perhaps in the dark a light will appear, guiding the way back to a gate once passed by our ancestors quietly, as if it had never existed. The journey to uncover Agartha, the kingdom deep beneath the earth, is not merely a fairy tale or an exotic legend. It is an interweaving of history, belief, mysticism, and fragments of ancient wisdom buried by time. From a mythical island in the Tethys Sea to underground networks beneath the Himalayas, from whispers in Buddhist scriptures to the testimonies of Western mystics, all paint a haunting portrait of a hidden civilization that never truly vanished. Agartha, or perhaps Shambhala, PATALA, or even Eden, all embody the image of a world where knowledge, peace and enlightenment are the foundation of life. A place where beings live not just long lives, but noble ones, with understanding far beyond the reach of modern man. Though called by different names and born of distant lands, all these legends share one message: a different world lies beneath our feet. Are the mysterious tunnels in India, Egypt, Central America, or the towering Himalayas true gateways to Agartha, or are they metaphors for inner search? The journey of awakening within each person, St. Yves, Ossendowski, Blavatsky, Rorich. Those who came before us once asked these questions in their time, and now it is our turn. If Agartha is real, what awaits humanity behind that hidden door? And if it is but a symbol, are we truly ready to understand the message it seeks to convey? The journey may have ended, but the question remains. Will you dare to take the next step to seek the answer? Or will Agartha remain just a dream, buried by human doubt itself?